Hey, welcome to the Good Fight Collective podcast. So glad you're with us for this episode. My name is Jason. This is my friend George. You know, Good Fight Collective is a ministry that we lead where we know that many of us tend to operate alone, but we also believe and know that we're stronger together. And our ministry wants to help you fight that good fight of faith.
Yeah, in today's episode, we're to one of our favorite things is, hey, what you thinking? And numerous times we've sat around having, as we've talked about, some ribs, some wings, and just said, hey, Jason, what you thinking? What's on your mind? Because you need a group of guys. You need somebody that you can do that with, because we all have so many things going on our head at different times.
Yeah, 100%. And I just, so many times it's amazing over the years where even asking that question makes you stop and think. And of what is God trying to teach me right now? What is the challenge going on, or what's something I'm trying to process? And you've been such a great resource for me to allow me to process over the years. So I'll just kick us off today, George. What you thinking? What's going on?
What I'm thinking is everywhere I turn, everybody's in the book of Acts.
Yeah, notice that. A lot of churches right now.
A lot of churches are in the book of Acts, and I was even talked about before. I was out in Montana, and I visited a church, and they were in the book of Acts. And my men's group's in the book of Acts, and there's another men's Bible study I attend, and I just saw a guy goes, hey, we're kicking that back off this far, and guess what? We're going to be doing the book of Acts.
The two churches I've been to in the last couple of weeks, different churches.
Yeah.
Both their after Easter series is the book of Acts. So
yeah,
you're 100% right.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because obviously it's the Acts of the apostle, and they're starting out the church, and we always go, and we did a podcast on how should church be? What should church be like?
Yeah.
Well, to go back and look at the early church, it's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
But I'm going to zero down maybe into Acts 13.
Okay.
Acts 13 today, and basically there's a group of men, Christ followers together, and then all of a sudden in verse 2 it says, while they worshiped the Lord and fasting, the Holy Spirit said, set apart Barnabas and Saul for the work to which they have been called. So that just stopped me for a second, says, okay, they're going to set aside for the work which they've been called. And I've been challenged lately, and we've actually had a podcast guest in recently that really challenged me. He goes, listen, because he's music, and it's a group everybody knows, and he goes, music's not my calling. To love the Lord my God with all my heart, soul, strength, and might, and my neighbor as myself, that's my calling. So as a follower of Christ, that's our calling. He said, music is something I have a talent and I get to do. So that made me stop right there and go, okay, all right, our true calling is to follow God. But what gifts? So obviously Paul and Barnabas there, they had some gifts to go out, and they're going to go preach and teach the gospel. So I love this. So after they had fasted and prayed, they placed their hands on them and sent them off. The two of them sent on their way by the Holy Spirit. So that got me to stop and thinking a little bit, even about our story and the Good Fight Collective now.
Mm-hmm.
We've been after it, closing in on a year or so, but it didn't just one day we go, hey, we're going to start a podcast, we're going to start a ministry, we're going to do this. No, it's several years, and then at least intentionally a year of us talking about men needing authentic community, men needing a place to go, to share, to be real, to get great accountability, right?
Yeah.
We spent at least a year doing that.
But that year wasn't, one, it wasn't like a planned, and two, it was an overflow of literally decades of us having those moments of time and life. And
yep, correct. And but all of a sudden we looked at each other one day and go, we think we have the passion to do that.
Yes.
We feel like called, if you will, to do this. So it was an internal confirmation. It wasn't just an overnight. It was something God said, hey, y'all quit talking about the need for this and go do it. And it's like,
for sure.
Wow, okay, we have the desire. And as I said, we have the internal confirmation with ourselves to go, we want to do that. But we didn't just go immediately and jump in. Just like they did in that room with those, they stopped and they prayed and they laid hands. They sought some wise counsel. And we did that. We met with several people and said, hey, this is what we're feeling called to do. This is what we're thinking. Is this something that's needed? Is this something that we should pursue?
And that validation from others along the way. I'll speak this for you, to speak old school leadership. You have your 10,000 hours in, like you have you've learned a lot and you have a lot to give because of not that you're perfect, you've made mistakes, but God has put you in a position where you have something to offer. And I would like to hope that after 30 years of ministry, I have a little bit to offer as well.
Yeah, and so we both felt that way, but we're like, okay, we just don't want to jump out over our skis here.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the desire, we have the internal confirmation, and we, like I said, went and met with several persons of wisdom and shared with them, and we got confirmation from those persons as well. And then I'll stop right there for a second, because if they would have stopped us, if they would have pumped the brakes, if not one person was excited about it, we need to pump the brakes. But that's not what we experienced. And so we even moved forward, and we had a time of commissioning, if you will. A lot of guys gathered together with us. They prayed over it. They prayed over us. They prayed over the ministry. So now we've had internal confirmation. We've had external confirmation and support. And then now comes what you just said, the preparation. And I know you've been at it and incredible with groups. You've got a great heart, and you've opened up. Your back porching is legendary. And I've got 40 years of leading different Christian leaderships and stuff, but still our preparation continues.
We're learning so much trying to lead this ministry.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not like we've figured it all out.
No.
Before we hit record here, we were talking about the last couple of weeks, some of the challenges and things we've been learning about just some of the practical parts of doing life and where we're at. Right?
Yeah. So if you go back to our topic, what you thinking? This Acts chapter 13 got me thinking, going, okay, I feel like we've walked through the right steps.
Yeah.
We had a desire, and we turned it into internal confirmation. We sought outside help. We got external confirmation, and now we've prepared over a lot of years, and we're able to use that. But we continue to read and to study and prepare ourselves each and every time, before podcasts, before we help churches, before we help individuals. So what I'm thinking is, let's talk about that a minute, because somebody may be in that situation. They may feel like, hey, there's a new relationship that they want to start, or there's a new job offer somewhere, or should I move to a new city, or should I take a new leadership role, or whatever the opportunity may be. So it helped me thinking about this. So one of our listeners may have some type of opportunity. So I encourage you, look at least at those 3 steps. Make sure that you have some internal confirmation and you have the desire before you make that move.
Yeah. Could you highlight those 3 steps again real quick?
Yep. Internal confirmation and desire. So make sure it's something that you really want to do before you make that next move into, any one of those areas, a relationship, a job, move to a new city, a new role or something. And then the second one is crucial, and it's usually the biggest one that's skipped, is that external communication. External confirmation, and support. External confirmation and support. Talk to some wisdom. Talk to some folks that are in your life. Talk to the folks that are in your men's group. If you don't have a men's group, reach out to us. We'll talk to you. Talk to your pastor at your church. Let the others that see you, let them give you some confirmation.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one, which is the hardest, and most of us don't want to do, make that preparation.
Yeah.
It may be something that you've got to go back to school and get another degree, and it's going to take a couple of years. Are you willing to put in that time? It may be that move to that new city to take that job, but you've got to put in the time and the preparation to do whatever that next step is. And that's a hard piece too.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Because we just like to keep moving through sometimes. Okay. And I'll kind of finish it up. This goes on. And if you read through Acts chapter 13, Paul, they got some pushback.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I love this. I love this though, because we're fighting a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
And but how do we fight? We fight with spiritual disciplines. So while you're going through this, look at the Word of God. Be in prayer. Fast. And fasting may be something new for a lot of people, but read the Word. Have a spiritual mentor. Okay, it's easier to fight the devil and his forces when you hang out with the winner, and the winner is Jesus. And I love, so read through 13, and you're going to see Paul's personality come out, because Paul was after. Remember, he was killing. He's after, and God didn't really change his whole persona. He changed his heart.
Yes.
So Paul went after the Christian faith to bring believers into Jesus just as much fervor as he went after to kill Christians. So that was encouraging to me because I'm kind of a hard-driven, hard charger, and I was like, "Do I need to get soft? Do I need to have to go squishy and all this stuff?" And this passage confirmed to me that no, God, me fully submitted to his will, which is to know him and to love him, he can use my fiery personality, my
Yeah,
charge hell with a water pistol, because he used
indeed.
Paul with that.
It's good.
And the last thing I'll say on this, because I know I'm talking too much on this one. The last thing I'll say on this one is sometimes we go, well, yeah, I'll get to that somewhere later. I'll maybe look into that some other time. I know God may want me to change or move or do something, but I'll do it later. And that God did not call your future self to your present problems. God did not call your future self to your present
Unpack that real quick.
problems. God called you right where you are to lean into him on what you're handling and what you're doing today. And a quick example, I'm blessed with 2 kids. They're 20 and 22. Well, we didn't wait until they're 20 and 22 to start parenting them, right? You start parenting the minute you bring them home from the hospital, and you usually have no clue how to do it. But if you wait until they're 20 years old to start parenting them, it's too late. So if there's some things going on in your life, if you feel like God's calling you to do something, okay, whether it's in a relationship, out of a relationship, move to a new city, a new vocation, whatever it may be, he didn't call your future self to do that. He called your present self to handle that issue, but do it with that internal confirmation and desire, that external confirmation and support, and then be super willing to put in the preparation and the time to do it.
It's good.
So that's all this on Acts, and that just
Love it.
really settled in because I really believe that's what God's called us to do with Good Fight Collective.
Love it. It's so cool, man. That's great.
Whew, that was sorry, went a little long there, but sometimes that's what happens with somebody. You're sitting down and that's their time, but now I get to have fun. Jason, what you thinking?
Yeah, as we were talking about this, for me, the current thing in my brain, there's always a bunch rattling around in my brain, but I just finished a book, and it was one of those books that I literally just had person after person recommend, "Hey, have you read this? Hey, have you read this? Hey, have you read this?" Like it felt like a wave for a couple of weeks where people kept bringing up this book to me. And it's not a book that I would typically read. I read a lot of like Christian living stuff. As you know, I read a lot of like military thrillers. Love that world. This is just a straight up fiction book. And it's not the typical book I would read, but it was so often recommended. I'm like, dang it. I'm just going to get into it. So I got actually the audio version of it. It's called Theo of Golden by an author named Alan Levi, who's actually a singer-songwriter. I saw him in concert like 20 years ago.
Of course you stopped and did it because you're a relational kind of guy and you want to be able to have the conversations and be a part of the conversations and relations.
Dadgummit, you're right.
Yeah.
And then I fell in love with it. Like
Okay.
I had to finish it. I had to know how the story ended. Totally got sucked into the story and the characters. I won't give anything away.
Good.
I'll just say this, that this is what you would read on the back cover of the book. So there's a character named Theo who comes to a town named Golden. And Theo's an older man. It's a mystery of kind of who he is and why he's there. And why there, he goes to the local coffee shop, and there's a local painter that paints local people and puts their paintings on the wall. He starts buying the paintings and meeting with that person to give them their picture. And in doing so, wants to hear their story.
Wow.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
There's a lot that unpacks there.
Well, no wonder this is something you want to talk about. That's something that you would have loved to do. You'd love to be the person going to town and buying the pictures so that you could. Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
So cool.
Yeah, okay.
So cool. And this old dude has a lot to offer, and there's kind of a mystery of his character and why he's there. The cool little twist at the end with that. But along the way, just some really fascinating, the power of presence, just being available and just sitting and listening. And so what I wanted to do is I wrote down some of the lines I wrote
Okay.
down from the book, and I'd love to get. I know you've not read the book, you know nothing about it, so I'm just going to
Nothing about
toss
this.
these at you, kind of just for fun.
Okay, here we go.
These are just some lines from the book. I thought there's so many of them, but these are just a couple. Unmet expectations have a clever way of showing up at every stage of life.
Yes, yes. That makes me think immediately that in our minds, we often have a movie reel of how our life should go.
Yeah.
Everybody has that movie reel, if you've ever thought about it that way or not. And when things don't go the way our movie reel goes, we react.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's negative. And we won't even talk about this, but when somebody gets married, they've got a movie reel of how marriage should be.
Yes.
And my spouse, wonderful woman, I've outkicked my coverage. I'm so blessed. She had a movie reel. And I'm going to tell you, it's not the same movie playing, okay? But we have the same outcome and the same love for Christ and the love for each other. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride. So, but that unmet expectation sometimes comes out because we place them on things.
Yeah.
Is what I think. What do you have in that?
Well, for me, this is unmet expectations is a whole different. I'm literally trying to finish a book about that concept because I think unmet expectations define a season of your life.
Ooh.
And how you handle them. And this is kind of what I've been stewing on for the last several months and literally years now is I wrestle with what are you doing? And so when I saw that quote, unmet expectations have a clever way of showing up at every stage of life.
Every stage.
It's so funny because I think there's times where you feel like you've got it together and then something happens and just like that, you have that moment where you're like, oh, what? How can I?
Yeah,
where it's like, how do you handle that? And I think it's a fascinating thing. I'm going to move on. There's another quote from the book, simply help people sit still long enough to see what is already there. Simply help people sit still long enough to see what is already there.
Yeah. And man, I love that one because I think back to the spiritual formations in Dallas Willard and, being is better than doing. And sometimes just sitting. And I know this is talking about, seeing what's already there, but that's the same thing in a spiritual way.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can't sit still without our phone in our hand or music or anything. Sometimes just sitting still and just letting the love of God pour over you and seeing what's already there.
It's good. I think that's part of fighting the good fight with other people is just being present.
And, ministry of presence. I think.
And not having all the answers, but just letting people. And I've had to learn the habit on the porch of just sitting there sometimes and stewing on it and not.
And silence. Awkward silence. And waiting. Let the person put out whatever they got to say. And just sit there in some awkward silence until they speak again and just let them process something. That's so good.
It's a thing for small group leaders that, well, I'm sure we'll unpack it in another podcast at some point, but I think one of the things that prevents a lot of small groups from going to the next level is leaders that are afraid of silence.
Yes.
Because they ask a question and within 10 seconds they're talking again. And you've basically taught your group that it's not okay for them to talk.
Yeah. And if a leader's talking more than 10% of the time, probably not going to be a very successful group.
True story.
Because we go, I'll just sit here and wait out. My leader will just start talking again and it'll be over and we'll go. And then there's no authenticity.
And there's times where leaders obviously need to facilitate, but
yes.
I'm going to move to the next quote. This is one that, you can dig into. Every pun intended. You can bend a twig, but not a tree. You can bend a twig, but not a tree.
All right. I got to hear what Jason Carr's thinking on that one.
Well, obviously I know the context from the book, but just if you were to take it from 100,000 foot level, the twig, which is attached to the tree, is, smaller and easier, and you have the ability to maneuver that. The tree, which has deep roots and a wider base and is connected to something, you're not going to bend that.
Right.
And I think for us, is our faith connected to something that has deep roots? Or is it connected to something I hate to it's something we talked about last time, but even going back to feelings, if your faith is based on feelings, it's going to bend like a twig.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll have to say, my educator mind goes back to, hey, that's why we take a lot of time and mold and shape the children and bring them up in the way of the Lord so that when they're old, they'll not depart from it. So it's so important to
Yeah.
have our families in church. Like I said, most people come to faith before they're 20 years old. You know, statistics bear that out. So I'm thinking, it's so funny. We look, not shocking. We look at that differently. You know,
Who knew?
you go there straight to the, you need to be rooted, which I absolutely agree. And I go to, yeah, but to get there, the
Yep.
educator side goes, hey,
100%.
we got to take the kids and we got to mold them and we got to shape them and we got to present them Christ and the love of Christ along the way while they're still bendable and flexible,
Yeah.
so that when they come, okay, I'm done. Yeah, that's
No,
so,
you're good.
that's so
You're just
fun.
great, man. Love it. And that's, I mean, that's why we compliment each other.
Yeah.
Two more quotes from the book,
Okay.
real quick. And remember, heaven can draw a straight line with a crooked stick.
Okay, I got no idea. I got nothing. You got it. What you thinking? What you thinking there? That's, read that again.
Heaven can draw a straight line with a crooked stick.
Okay.
God's ability to use people who you would look at maybe, hey, that's a crooked stick. It's not usable, but God can use it and use it to draw. It's crooked, but it can go a straight line. Like the ability for God to use broken people is obviously that's grace and mercy, but it's what he does, right? I mean, that's you and me. I'm a crooked stick.
Absolutely.
I mean, I am a full-blooded dadgummit. I'm a sinner, and thank you, God, for your grace that I woke up this morning that I do not deserve. And if you could ever use my life for something for your kingdom, that is more a picture of you than it is of me.
Wow. Wow, that's profound. That's really good. And for us to remember that, for me to remember that, because yes, I agree. I'm in the same boat as you are. And sometimes I look out and go, wait, what are they doing? I don't know. They just did. And how's God using? But we have to remember, we're all on the same team. Those that have put their trust and faith in Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, we're on the same team. We may have different gifts, and we see them being
Yeah.
lived out differently because their stick is a crooked differently than our crooked stick. But we're saved by grace and we're on the same team. So we should be cheering each other on, even sometimes we don't understand it, as long as they're pointing people to the hope and that's found in Jesus Christ.
That's good.
Okay.
Which that's a whole different sidebar, but I think we are more judgy of people whose sticks are different, crooked than ours are.
Yeah.
If that's even good grammar.
Absolutely.
One more quote from the book, just to kind of.
That last one was a doozy, so I can't wait. Here we go.
But God, in his sublime goodness, has always sent others, mysterious others, to walk with us. Prophets, preachers, friends, teachers, artists, storytellers, wives and husbands, children, songbirds and rivers, even hardship and loss, to help us see clearly. There are ones who make our hearts burn within us, who call us out of our indifference, our lethargy, our death and defeat. They call us to be fully alive, or at least more alive than we were before we met them.
I have to admit, I got stopped after the first two words, but God. That just jumped on me. That jumped on me because sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do that, or I'm thinking this, or I'm thinking that. And then I have to go, yeah, but God. But God. Let me put God in that situation. So anyway, that's just where my mind got stopped, because that's where I need to go first. And I was like, oh, yeah. I'm trying to make all these plans over here. No. But God, oh, that's right. I'm sorry, God. What would you have me do? So I got stuck a little. I listened to all of it, but I'll let you. It was a little long. I'll let you unpack some of that long piece there.
I love that God, as human beings, God has this really cool way of sending people into our lives that call us into being fully alive. Whether that's a pastor, whether that's a friend, whether that's a brother, whether that's a mentor or a coach. But God has this habit, if we're eyes open and willing and hands open, of at times putting people in their life to call you into being fully alive. And are we looking for that? Are we available for that? Do we even want that? I think we would rather be comfortable than fully alive, because being fully alive means potentially like fully surrendered to Him. And I love it. I think that's what God does. God brings people, and a little sidebar. I think there's some people like that's part of what they do. They have seasons in people's lives where they call that out of them, and then they move on to the next group of people. And whether they're vagabonds or ragamuffins or whatever words you want to put on that. I mean, I even look at my life, um, these little seasons of pods with people, 4 years with this group and 4 years with this group and 4 years where there was the ability to be present and call people to be alive in Jesus. And then graduation happens or life happens or whatever that is, and God moves to a different story. But my purpose hasn't changed. The people change, but my purpose hasn't. And I think God has a purpose for all of us. And part of that is to call each other into being fully alive.
Man, I love that, because I immediately, like most of us, we go reminiscing back through, okay, who was in my life for that short time that's not here now?
Yeah.
And as you know, I still hang out with a bunch of folks I went to high school with. It's crazy, but 40-something years later, we still hang out. So that's cool. But there's so many people in college, and I was like, oh, I miss that person. I miss that person. And I reach out to them sometimes, but often it's like, no, that was a season.
Yeah.
That was a season, so that we want to continue to pour that hope and that grace into people in the short seasons that we have.
100%. And so that book for me was a cool story. I loved it. Just really grabbed me. And that's why what am I thinking? I've just been thinking of some of the takeaways and challenge from spending time with Theo in Golden.
So what was the name of the book again?
Theo of Golden by Alan Levi, Levi.
All right. So if you're a fiction reader and you want some more of that, now you know where to find it.
And don't blame me when you read it and I didn't say a lot, because there's a lot of plot I didn't give.
Oh, okay. That is awesome. Well, we hope you have somebody in your life that you can sit around and across and just go, hey, what you thinking? And they really care. But that's what we do. That is what we do at Good Fight Collective, and we can help you with that. So reach out to us if you want. Hit the subscribe button. Share this with someone that it might be helpful with. And as you fight the good fight of faith, fight on.